My name is Kyle Westerman, and this is EDL 851, Module 8, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluation. The first article that we read was the National Education Association's on Every Student Succeeds Act. What it said was that it prohibited the Secretary of Education from creating a teacher evaluation process. What it did was it required states to create their own goals on teacher performance, not based on just test scores. States may design an evaluation system that are based in part on academic achievement. So the evaluation process can be based partially on academic achievement, but their whole evaluation cannot be on academic achievement alone. The second article that we read was the teacher evaluation heads to the courts. And what this article did is it covered multiple court cases where teachers' unions were fighting laws that seemed unjust to teachers and how they are evaluated, given pay raises, or terminated. This article I thought was very interesting in just how many lawsuits or court cases there were on what teachers felt were unfair or unjust. There were some, very few, that I agreed with the states and what their laws were, but the majority of them, I did agree with the unions and the teachers and how they felt, and I understood why they went to court over their situation and what their state had required them to do, or how they were evaluated. It seemed very unfair or unjust laws by people that probably have not taught themselves. The third article that we read was the teacher evaluation and issue overview. What it did was it looked at a revamping of teacher evaluations. It was become a trend here recently of kind of revamping the teacher evaluations, and that probably stems from the act where you're talking about less federal government involved in the evaluation process and more state and district involvement in the evaluation process. States were encouraged to change teacher evaluations to receive grant money. In other words, if they followed a certain amount of rules, they could apply for some money to help their school out. Since the evaluation process is created at the state and local levels, it stated that the standards differed on how and when a teacher is evaluated, depending on the state or the district. The teachers' unions were in support of the new way of evaluating teachers, but they were concerned on how they were being evaluated. Was it going to be on test scores? Was it going to be connected to the teacher's pay or their tenure? And that was shown in some of the court cases that were reviewed in the second article. The teacher evaluation at my school, we do the KEEP program here at Winfield High School, and it does involve 6 steps. And the step one is you have an orientation where you meet with your administrator, and you talk about how the process is going to go. They explain to you what the KEEP evaluation system is and how it works and what you need to do on your end. The second step is self-assessment, and what you do is you go in and you assess how you think you are as a teacher. You go in and you set goals for yourself. You choose where you think you're at, and I think in 3 or 4 levels of like to incompetent to extremely well versed. The third one is a formal evaluation that the administrator sets up, and they come in for the whole class period. For us, we are on block scheduling, and so they sit in our classroom for the 83 minutes that we're there, and then they come back and they give you what their evaluation of your performance was. Step 4 is the informal observations, and there are several of them. They come in for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and they pop in unannounced to see how you're doing, to see if you have continued what you did in your formal evaluation. Step 5 is the mid-cycle conference, where you meet with the administrator to make sure that you're still on track in what you're doing, how he or she feels about your work in the classroom, and to talk about your observations. And then step 6 is the final conference, where you compare your self-assessment to the administrator's assessment of your productivity in the classroom. I like the KEEP system. I wish we did it more often. I enjoy when my administrator comes in and gives me constructive criticism on how to become a better teacher. I am fortunate where my administrator is a former social science teacher, and so am I. And so that really helps me figure out what I could do better in my classroom to keep my students more engaged. what resource a teacher has regarding teacher evaluations here at our school, what they can do if they feel their evaluation is inaccurate. During one of those post-observation conferences, these inaccuracies can be discussed. So you compare your lesson that you taught during that day to the administrator's notes from what he or she witnessed. And if you feel like he or she missed something, you can explain yourself and why you did it this way or why you did it that way. And with my administrator, he is very understanding of what I'm doing as a social science teacher, seeing that he was one at one point in time. And so we've gotten along really well, and we've nearly never had any inaccuracies. And if we do, it's usually between like the self-assessment, and I'm usually pretty hard on myself on those and don't give me any mastery levels, where he may come in and give me one here, or I may say I'm better at something and he goes, well, I think this needs some work. It's never in a negative light. It's always pretty positive, and it's constructive criticism. What can they do if they feel that they are unjustly being let go? We have a large NEA population here at the school. We have a WNEA, and if a teacher feels like they've been let go unjustly, we can file a grievance, but we can also contact our WNEA for assistance, and they are more than willing to help, whether you are a part of the WNEA or not a part of the WNEA. The legal case that I chose was Cook versus Bennett, and what it stated was that teachers filed a lawsuit stating that the subjects without state assessments are being judged unfairly on the progress of students they don't teach. So in this school, in this state, teachers that don't have a state assessment like art or music or band were being held to the same standard based on the testing of the students when they don't have a state assessment themselves. And I can see where the teachers were upset at this, because how can you be held to a standard when you don't interact with those students? And I do feel like it was unfair of the state to put this kind of justification on their teaching ability when they may not teach the kids that are being tested. The result, which I thought was interesting, was that a federal court ruled in the favor of the state to keep the law, and the U.S. Court of Appeals affirmed that ruling, stating the same thing as well, that this law is not unfair to those teachers. My reflection after this assignment was, as an administrator, I need to be well versed in my state's and district's policy on teacher evaluation. I feel like I need to understand the legalities of everything, what I can and cannot do. If I feel like a teacher is not performing well and continues to not performing well after the evaluations, what do I need to do to make the next step of possibly terminating that teacher? Or during my evaluations, how do I help that teacher? Now, my first thought doesn't need to be, how can I fire them? It'd be, how can I help them to reach their students better? And I also need to be informed on current court cases involving teacher evaluations, so I know what the current climate is like, but also understand what I can and cannot do during or after those evaluations. Thank you.